And this is about a rabbi. A rabbi who was very famous for his modesty. He was a very humble person. He dies, he goes to heaven. Because of his lifestyle and how humble he was, Elijah the prophet was sent by God to receive him at the gates. When the rabbi sees Elijah there, so he said, no, sorry, I cannot enter like this. And Elijah said, what a humble man. So he goes to report to God. God is very moved, so he sends Abraham to receive him. Abraham goes to the gate and said, welcome to heaven. And the rabbi said, no, I cannot enter like this. Abraham says, what a humble man. He goes to report to God. And God is very moved. So God sends Moses to receive the rabbi. Welcome to heaven. I cannot enter. Moses says, what a humble person. So he goes to report to God. And God goes in person to receive the rabbi. Welcome to heaven, says God. And the rabbi said, I cannot enter like that. And God is already puzzled. He said, hold on a minute. I sent you Elijah. I sent you Abraham. I sent you Moses. I came myself. What's the problem? He said, come on, where are the photographers? I want to talk to you today about living a humble life. Living a humble life. And, I was realizing that humility sometimes is a struggle. It's a struggle. Usually it doesn't come naturally. We have to work hard sometimes towards attaining, achieving, and keeping humility, to remain humble in life. It's very easy to be seduced and fall into arrogance, right? Believing that we are better than other people, that we are more worthy than other people, and so many things that come with arrogance. Arrogance has so many bad byproducts that have the capacity to prevent us from being the best version of ourselves. And, it's there is nothing easy about attaining humility, and no one is immune to arrogance. And I always like the story when I started to go to cantors conventions, when I first came to Winnipeg here over 20 years ago. It was a great experience. I get to meet in person with my idols. I've been playing the records, right, in Chile, in Argentina. Now I have a chance to be with them. And I remember some of the experiences. Some of them, they weren't so great. Like I was talking to one that it was at the time I started to play piano in the synagogue, okay? And this famous cantor said, you do what? That's beneath you. You should say no. That is not for a cantor to play the piano. You should get somebody else to do that for you. Okay. And there was another one. I said, what do you do? Well, I teach. I teach bar mitzvah. And said, you teach? I said, look, I never teach in my synagogue. So why not? I said, well, look who I am. I have somebody else to do the teaching. Okay. That was some of the experience. I said, I was admiring these people for their voice or the music, but maybe they are not the most humble person in the world. But it always marked me on how easy it is to fall into arrogance, right? And how important it is to remain humble. It's something that is every Jew should do whatever we can to achieve and to keep modesty and to be humble in life. This week's parsha is a perfect example of that. In this week's parsha, we read about some of the tasks of the priest. And one of the things they have to do, and it was amazing, was that they have to be the one cleaning up the mess after the sacrifices. There were lots of ashes and things all around because most of the things were actually burned on the altar. Lots of things to clean up after. And the Torah said, nope, you cannot delegate that. You, the priest, you have to you have to remove those expensive and luxurious clothing. but something simpler, and clean up the ashes after the sacrifices. And the rabbis explained that the reason why God wanted the priest to do that is so they will have these thoughts of modesty every day to remind them to be humble. Can you imagine? Those were the ones who facilitated the connection between the people of Israel and God. It was very easy to believe that they were closer to God than anybody else. They were so special, right, that they have the right to feel better than others. And God said, no. And to prove you the point, I want you to get dirty every day to clean up the ashes. And this message should resonate with all of us even more right before Pesach. And I will tell you why. Because the rabbis explain that the chametz that we don't supposed to eat during Passover, or the leavens, is a symbol of arrogance. The chametz represents ego and arrogance. How so? Well, have you ever realized the difference between bread and matzah? They're very similar. Very similar. Both involve water and flour. The only difference is to make bread, you add yeast to the mix, which yeast is the chametz. You add it there. Why? Well, when you add the yeast, what happens is you will have a chemical reaction with within the dough, and then the gluten will prevent the gases from that chemical reaction to escape the dough, so it would start growing. In reality, they're both the same. The only difference is bread has air inside. It's not all. So basically, what chametz does is adds air to the mix. How do you call a person an arrogant person? You say that it's full of what? Hot air. Have you realized that? It's the same thing that you achieve when you add chametz to the mix. You add that air. Because at the end of the day, if you get a piece of bread, right, you push it down, you will get it flat like a matzah. If you're able to remove all that. So in Pesach, it's very important when we eliminate the chametz, not just from the food, but from our homes. It's not just that we don't eat chametz. We get rid of the chametz. We eliminate the chametz. It's a powerful message. Once again, to remain humble and to eliminate arrogance from our life. Now, you may be wondering, okay, this is beautiful, wonderful message, but why do we have to do it only once a year? Why don't we do it every day, right, to remember to be humble? And then you will be surprised that one of the things that the Torah says is that chametz was not allowed in the sacrifices. At the time of presenting the daily sacrifices, chametz had to be avoided. Also, as a daily reminder of being humble. Now that we don't have sacrifices, we don't remember that anymore. But the message of the chametz, even if it's just symbolic, and during services, was present every day during the life of a Jew. So I was thinking that how important it is to be humble. And we have different ways, different things, different little things that we can do every day to remain humble. You know, if you're a big boss, I don't know, you know, you walk through the kitchenette of your workplace and you see the mess, clean it up. No, I'm the boss. I won't do that, right? Some people think that. Oh, no, I don't eat with my employees. I'm at a different level. Wrong. That's an easy thing that we can do to stay humble. And you can ask for help if you need it. Some people are so arrogant that they never ask for help. You can be open to feedback. Some people never accept any feedback because they know everything. That's arrogance talking. That's not a Jewish attitude. And sometimes you have to admit your mistakes. That also keep you humble. So I found it fascinating that both this parsha, right before Pesach, and Pesach, are telling us how important it is to be humble right before we become free during Passover. Because what I realize is that if you don't get rid of the chametz, if you don't get rid of arrogance in your life, you will never, ever be free. Shabbat Shalom.